What's going on YouTube? This is Rybo at the bench, and tonight I have another cut or carry knife video on the Boker AK-74 Kalashnikov, the popular automatic knife from Boker. I have reviewed the small version. I do have a head-to-head with these, and so I've wanted to carry this one for a little bit longer, and so finally have the review. Let's go ahead and do some baseline measurements. So this is in the BladeHQ exclusive Tyranny Teal color. I really like it. I think it's kind of fun to have a automatic knife in this goofy color. 3.7 ounces, you can see. The blade length on this guy is going to be, I want to say, right over 3 inches. But this is a BladeHQ exclusive color. Yeah, 3.09 inches. In the pocket length, you're looking at 4.3, and then the thickness is an important measurement to me. So you're looking at 0.55 inches. If you come up here, it's going to grow a little bit more. With the pocket clip, 0.74, but not a thin knife by any means. But anyway, I got the small version of this knife. I carried it. It immediately did not fit my hands. So I ordered this one because I liked it so much. It just didn't fit. So now I'm reviewing this guy. So a lot of what I say today will be very similar to that video because these are almost the exact same knife. And in fact, I really think that they kind of went wrong in this because they literally took this knife, scaled down every dimension, and released it in a smaller, or vice versa, however they did that. The issue is you have kind of, I don't know, exact things here that just work on this knife that don't work on the small one. And so they would have done better, I think, to revisit some of that design, really make them two different knives in the same line, but not the exact same knife scaled down, because I think a lot of what works for this does not work for the other. So what do I'm sorry, we didn't even do our size comparisons. So size comparisons, para 3 lightweight, one of my favorite knives recently, the Rake P108 or 801, no, 108, always get that confused. And then absolutely one of my favorite knives recently, and I think going forward, oh, the K-Bar Dozier. Man, what a great knife. You'll notice this is yet another colorway because I could not pass this up. It's my third Dozier to date because I have a problem. But man, what a knife. Anyway, that's not why you came. You came for this. So what do I like about the AK-70, excuse me, the AK-74? A couple things. Most of these are the same as the small version. So number one, the pocket clip. Everyone should do pocket clips like this, or like this if you want to. Both of these are excellent pocket clips, and there are very few knives, at least in a budget range, that come anywhere close to this. So this is a deep carry pocket clip. You can see that when this is in the pocket, there is nothing showing out. You can't even see what color knife this is, even being that bright color. This thing carries very, very deep, and I really like that. You can see it's actually just a little bit above the scales right there. So love that about it. Secondly, you would think that maybe this didn't slide in very well because you have this piece right here. However, you don't have any texturing here, and I haven't had any issues. It's a nice tall ramp right there. You have tons of material under here. I think it works perfectly. Perfect spring tension. I mean, it's just, it's tight, not too tight. It works in every single way. It works. This is one of the most satisfying pocket clips, and honestly, joy to carry. So I really like that. I could do without the ribbing. It doesn't really, I don't know, it doesn't really bug me, but the grooves are just kind of weird. I get that they kind of follow the knife, but not really. So I could kind of do without that. Pocket clip, excellent, well done. Probably my favorite thing about these AK-74s. Okay, what else? So other things I like, so it's a button lock, spring assisted automatic knife, right? The button lock's very nice. I think that it flies out very well, very satisfying lock up there. You do hear, I don't know if you can hear that over all the rain outside right now, but you do hear the spring on this one a little bit more than my other one. I'll talk about that in just a little bit, but that's not fantastic, so I don't love that. Aus 8 steel. Look, I'm much higher on Aus 8 than a lot of people are. I've had good experience for what it is. I don't mind it in a $35 knife, especially if it's like an automatic and that's kind of what you're paying for. Of the lower end budget materials, I would prefer this to 8CR13 MOV, but that's just me. Other things that I like, I mentioned the button lock. I mentioned the spring assist is very nice, very satisfying lockup. It's a big knife, so you do feel that. You feel it a lot more than you do in the little one. I would say that it's snappy. Other things that I like, so these are aluminum scales. You have this kind of artificial texturing on here, which is just done into the metal, and then coated with whatever they use to coat these scales. And so it provides a little bit of texture. It's really not giving you much. It's giving you more than, say, your steel frame lock does, and so I definitely prefer it to that. Honestly, it's giving you probably more than the Ontario Rat scales give you. So I like it. I like the way it looks. I like the way it feels. It's nothing special, but it's not bad. It's not a detractor, and so that's a good thing. And then the final thing that I really like about this knife is the ergonomics. That is why I gave up the small Boker for this guy, and I was thrilled to open this up and put it in the hand, and it feels like it's just made for me. I mean, this feels so good in the hand. It is absolutely perfect. Now, it will not be perfect for you, potentially, because I think it is exactly made for a certain hand size. However, for me, this feels fantastic. I mean, really, these finger grooves here feel like they were just custom made for my hand, which is really nice. The jimping up here, I think, is perfect. It's not too aggressive. It's not too light. Just kind of the perfect amount there. Fits with the overall theme of the knife. I like the jimping in the back. I like the continuity there. I like how that feels. You have a little bit of a hot spot right there on just because that deep carry clip does come so far down. You have a little hot spot, but honestly, it's really not that bad. So ergonomics on this knife, I would say rival with the pocket clip on the best things about it. I'm not one to use any type of grip like this, but that also feels excellent. So if you're doing that for some reason, there you go. All right, so now to the things that I'm not a fan of. And unfortunately, there are more than I expected. And honestly, there are more than I saw when I first opened it. So when I first opened it, I was just like, yep, this is it. Hands down, love this knife. Going to be carrying it for a long time. And in fact, I love this knife. I like it a lot more than the small version. And I've really enjoyed carrying it. I really do like a lot of things about this knife. Unfortunately, there are a couple things that are really bad, and I think they may be quality control issues. So one is, I mentioned that the spring assist button lock was very snappy and it locked up very well. Now, I have not taken this knife apart. I have not messed with any screws. I have not done anything. So you're seeing this just out of the box after a couple weeks of carry. There is significant blade play here. I've only owned one other button lock, and I did not have this issue. I did not have this issue on my other smaller Boker, but that's not great. I mean, hopefully you can see how much blade play there is right there. I do not like that at all. That really I'm not a fan of that. So that's very disappointing. Now, I have not tried to see if maybe I can tighten this pivot screw and fix that, but out of the box, significant blade play on that, especially on a tactical knife. That just rubs me the wrong way. So that's not great. Not a huge fan of the blade, this kind of dagger, just not my favorite blade style. Nothing wrong with it, cuts fine, just not my cup of tea. But for the knife, I think it looks, cool or whatever. Other things, let's see, aluminum scales are my favorite, but that's fine, no issues there. And then I guess, let me think about this. Yeah, so that just leaves one thing. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I forgot, but I think that's about it, besides the one thing that is going to influence my final review, and that is, check out that. So maybe you saw this earlier in the video. But when I open this knife, let me do so safely away there. I close this knife. Watch where it finally locks up. So you see when I push that in and release it, how far that comes out. Look where that tip is in relation to the scales. So I didn't notice this until I had carried the knife for a little while, and then I did. And once you notice it, one, you can't not see it, and two, you can't help but think, oh, I can grab that tip right there. So I can cut myself on the tip of the knife while it's closed up very, very easily. I mean, it is very exposed there. That is outside of the scales. That's not close. That is, I'm catching my finger when I do that. You cannot have that on a knife. There's no excuse for that. There's really no excuse for that on a knife that has this much handle material available to it. You have these finger grooves that are coming up here. You could have easily covered that. You have plenty of room in there for the knife to go in further. That cannot happen. And if the tolerances on, production are such that they allow for that, which is not unheard of, that's not, that's totally fine, because, I realize that it's an inexpensive knife. But you've got to then afford the design, the ability to kind of come over those defects, and this one doesn't. It's made for the knife to be in like that, and in reality it's like that, and you just can't have that. One more note on kind of quality control. While I don't necessarily have an issue with this, I did mention that you hear the spring a lot more. It's a lot squeakier. I've handled now 3 different AK-74s, 2 of my own, 1 of a friend's. And the quality control is kind of all over the place. The action on the button lock on his larger one was much better than this, just in terms of the kind of tactile feel and the sound. It was very, very quiet. Now, I haven't sprayed anything down in there, haven't tried to fix it. Maybe that will take care of it. But that's just something, that combined with this issue with the tip of this blade, just makes me, really concerned about buying another one, that it's going to be a crapshoot. So final reviews, I will say I fully expected to give this a strong carry. I'm very disappointed to say this is going to be a cut for me. I can't think of a knife in the past. Well, actually, that's incorrect. The Rake P801 was the same way. I very, very badly wanted to give it a carry. I really wanted to keep it and consider it as part of my collection. And however, there were just too many things that I didn't like, or that I thought were unacceptable, and I couldn't. So this is a perfect example of that. I love the idea of this knife. I really enjoyed carrying it. I really like it. I will probably own another one. I think I want to try out maybe a different blade style, combination, that kind of thing. But for me, this is just not acceptable, and it just won't be in regular rotation, really, because of that. I like most other things about this knife, and I'll probably own another one. Unfortunately, quality control just doesn't seem to be a thing for these. So for me, it's going to be a cut. I still think they're probably worth checking out, and I'll probably own another one in the future. Hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time.